Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light is completely dominated. The boycott has them under control. A beer expert is now saying consumers they lost from the boycott are just lost forever. They will not be getting them back. And finally, it's clear to everyone in the beer industry it has changed forever. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can't subscribe, please do subscribe. From Fox News, beer industry expert, Bud Light's decline looks quasi-permanent. Those consumers are just lost forever. Bud Light hasn't recovered as expected, Beer Business Daily publisher says. And Beer Business Daily is an industry publication. Most industries have dedicated publications talking about everything kind of going on in the business. If you're an investor, if you're somebody who owns a business that participates in that industry, you would subscribe to a trade publication. And Harry Schumacher has come around. Originally, he did not think the Bud Light boycott was going to last. He was even making a prediction earlier on that there might be a glut of beer this summer, with beer prices dropping crazily because people would just have so much beer around because of the Bud Light boycott, with people not buying the beer. Then he was suggesting there may be a tremendous shortage of beer. Why would there be a shortage of beer? Because with people not buying Bud Light, they'd be buying other brands. As he explained in some interviews, it's very difficult to make beer in that it takes time. You can't just turn on a switch like with a printing plant and print more beer. You've got to have fermentation and hops and all this stuff in the manufacturing process to plan out your production. So with people going and jumping so aggressively to buying other beer brands, he was suggesting it's possible they may not have enough beer to supply people at any price this summer. That didn't work out. But for sure, it worked out that people moved away from the Bud Light brand. In some places like North Carolina and South Carolina, beer consumption from Bud Light dropped as much as 80 to 90%. In Florida, it was off 60%, Pennsylvania, 50%, massive drops all over the place. Damage to Bud Light appears quasi-permanent, and longtime consumers could be lost forever after the brand failed to rebound from ongoing backlash as initially expected in recent weeks, according to a prominent trade publication publisher. And that's this guy, Harry Schumacher. Well, the Bud Light situation has actually gotten worse, Beer Business Daily publisher Harry Schumacher told Fox News Digital. Quote, you see, Bud Light is still stubbornly down around 30% in volume nationally compared to last year, which is where it's been since May or June. Schumacher continued. That tells me that this is quasi-permanent, meaning those consumers are just lost forever. Schumacher, who has worked in the beer industry for over 3 decades in multiple positions and has published Beer Business Daily for 20 years, has been covering Bud Light's sagging sales since the company's now infamous promo with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney last spring. Quote, Bud Light's latest week trends down 26.9% in dollars and down 30.3% in volume are nearly identical to its 4-week trends, Beer Business Daily recently reported, citing Bump Williams Consulting. And the reason there's a difference between loss in revenue and loss in volume is because Bud Light was able to increase their prices as many other people did, and they got away with it. However, that doesn't make up for lost revenue. It doesn't make up for lost volume when you have numbers like this. Schumacher said Bud Light is likely to see similar year-over-year declines for the foreseeable future, or at least until April and May of 2024, when they lap the controversy and the new normal will be baked into the numbers. So what he's saying is the sales started dropping in April of 2023. So come April and May of 2024, you'll see a full year's worth of sales. So perhaps the sales drop-off will almost be zero from April 2023 to April 2024. Why would that be? Because the people they lost, they would have already lost. But it is actually going to continue to go down. Maybe not as much as 30%, but maybe as much as that and more. Quote, I think the industry thought it would have rebounded by now, but it hasn't, he said. It's actually worse than just lost sales because now it's getting to the point where it's becoming systemic within the industry, and they're losing the confidence of retailers, and that's when it starts getting bad. Schumacher explained that once retailers lose confidence in a product, it loses valuable shelf space and even more valuable display space. And this is something we've been talking about since May. If the stores can't sell it, they will not put it on the shelf. If they don't put it on the shelf, or if they put much less of it on the shelf, or if they don't offer it on an end cap in some big promotional featured way because people are supposed to be buying it, they aren't going to be able to sell it. When it comes to on-premise sales, like in restaurants and bars, people are removing Bud Light taps. So Bud Light has gone from number 1 on-premise to as low as number 4. And some of these bars only have 3 taps at a station. So if you're number 4 and they've got 3 taps, you're not going to sell any in that bar on tap. It's going to get much, much worse because they're losing their market access. Also, all of the sales of Bud Light through this whole summer season have had the absolute incredible benefit of massive discounts everywhere in the country. In some places it was free. In some places it was on discount. In some places it was like 33 cents a can. But in all places it was tremendously in great supply. So when you see a product that you're willing to buy and they always have it in stock, you're able to buy it. But as you have less and less out on shelves, less and less promotion, there's less and less stock for people available to buy. So if a store was going to carry, let's say, 10 cases of Bud Light, and we're just going to keep it regularly there all the time because people kind of always bought it. And now they say, you know what? The sales haven't been that good. I'm going to knock it down to 3 cases of Bud Light. Maybe there are people who want to come and buy that Bud Light. 3 cases. Okay. What happens now? Well, they're sold out. Are they going to reorder it? No. It's going to get replaced maybe in a week or so, maybe in 2 weeks, whenever it comes around to them replacing whatever sold, but they're not going to go back to ordering 10 cases. Maybe they'll order 3 again because that's what's sold. Maybe they'll order 4. They're not going to order 5. You see, it starts to eat at the numbers when you lose that kind of position of the number 1 position down to where they're at, number 4, least favorite beer out of the top 10. It's gotten really bad for Bud Light. Well, you see those end caps at the end of aisles at the grocery store? When you start losing those, it's bad because you not only lose store visibility, but you also lose being able to load a lot of inventory into the store, he said. Displays are a big tool for the beer industry to move beer, and that could be concerning to Anheuser-Busch. At this point, Schumacher said the summer of 2024 is going to be a big test for the long-term success of Bud Light, and the brand needs to hope it regains the confidence of retailers in the meantime. Schumacher regularly speaks to wholesalers across North America, whom the Bud Light saga has been particularly tough for. Quote, they're somewhat powerless to fix it, except to remain really active in their local communities, which they've done and which they've always done. And really, that's the kind of only saving grace for the brand, is that those local connections that wholesalers have. But it's been a rough summer for those guys, and shout out to them. And it's probably going to be a rough winter, Schumacher said. We've never seen anything like this in the beer industry. The ordeal began when Mulvaney revealed that the beer company sent packs of Bud Light featuring the influencer's face as a way to celebrate a full year of girlhood. There was only 1 can. It wasn't a full pack of Dylan Mulvaney face beer, but that is when it began. Mulvaney said the can was Mulvaney's most prized possession on Instagram, with a post featuring hashtag Bud Light Partner. A video then featured Mulvaney in a bathtub drinking a Bud Light beer as part of the campaign. And we later found out, thanks to investigation from Senator Ted Cruz, that this wasn't the first promotion that Bud Light did with Mulvaney. That first promotion actually was in February of 2023, but apparently nobody really saw it. The online promo was met with significant backlash, with some social media users describing the campaign to push gender propaganda. Of course, that's exactly what it was. Months later, the brand hasn't recovered. Anheuser-Busch InBev reported a steep drop in profits as a result of the boycott, with U.S. revenue dropping 10.5% in the second quarter, while earnings before taxes, interest, and depreciation fell 28.2%, which is an absolutely enormous number. The company has laid off hundreds of workers amid the fallout, but they have not yet laid off anyone who makes the beer for them. They've lost 30% of their volume. They have 19,000 employees. They laid off around 360 administrative staff and marketing people, but no one who actually makes the beer. I don't want to see people get laid off, but they're going to get laid off. 2 glass plants had to close because they provided essentially their whole business was glass bottles to the Bud Light people. They had to lay off 645 good union jobs, fire those people, close down the plants, because they saw no chance that Bud Light was ever going to be getting its business back any time or any year soon. Can you imagine? That's just 2 glass plants. Can you imagine how many unfortunate people are going to lose their jobs because of this stupid Dylan Mulvaney promotion that never should have happened? Bud Light could be tainted on a quasi-permanent level, according to Schumacher. but he's noticed that other Anheuser-Busch brands have started to revert to pre-controversy levels that initially saw the entire corporation take a hit. Quote, while Bud Light continues to struggle, Anheuser-Busch's other brands have rebounded a little bit. So we're not seeing those deep cuts in Busch, Busch Light, Michelob Ultra, Natural. Those have come back, he said. That's a little bit of good news for the company that you can point to there. Well, he's trying to be positive and optimistic, and that is his job, essentially, talking to these independent beer distributors who are absolutely pulling their hair out and incredibly upset that they're losing all this money, having to lay people off. Their businesses have been severely damaged. It's terrible for the independent distributors. They don't have the kind of different customers and different products that a major manufacturer like Anheuser-Busch does, and they're getting really hurt. But I have seen the sales figures, and I have discussed them in my videos for the last sales report from Bump Williams, and all of Anheuser-Busch's brands are still down pretty severely. They are not really bouncing back. Even the experts have to now admit, yes, the Bud Light controversy destroyed the Bud Light brand. They've lost a massive amount of volume. Layoffs are still coming. God knows how many there will be. Probably it's going to be in the range of 1,000 to 3,000 people. I don't know how many. We're going to find out over the next few weeks when they have to announce new production plans based on their current orders. I have discussed that with Bump Williams, and he said he thinks I'm on target. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.